it. So I was like, oh, well,
Welcome to
it's
the
fine.
Consulting Leaders Podcast, where we talk about the business of consulting. Whether you're looking to grow your practice or learn from the stories of leaders in consulting, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Guillaume Jouvencel, ex-PwC and co-founder of GHA Marketing. Join me as I interview the best consultants in their niche. Let's get on with the show.
Amy, I'm always fascinated by people doing a certain thing, like polishing their craft in a company and then going out on their own to do exactly the same, which is for me the best way to start a business. So tell me, what drew you into recruiting and when did you realize that you wanted to turn this experience into a consulting practice?
Oh, goodness. Well, I got into recruiting the U.S. Army. I was active duty soldier, and they lovingly voluntold me for recruiting. So I went to Sumter, South Carolina, and for 3 years I helped the Army. And the running joke in our office was that if you talked with, at that time, my last name was Hitchner. So if you talked with Sergeant Hitchner, you're going to join the service. It was a toss up which one. But from there, I finished up my service, went into recruiting, and went a little bit everywhere, blue collar, corporate, staffing agencies. Had a love hate relationship with recruiting. I love getting people jobs, getting them placed. I love working with companies to just get that unicorn of a hire. But it's a thankless job. So I think after my last position that I had with a company, they started doing layoffs. And it kind of became this revolving door of layoffs over and over again and not investing in recruiters. And I was a little bit fed up with it. The only recruitment training I ever had was what the Army gave me. And the other time they're like, oh, you have experience, come on. And I'd be tossed in with people that were brand new to recruiting, maybe normally pulled from sales or something. And I was like, we can do better than this. Not to say nothing against them, because I mean, some of those people that never did it before were phenomenal. And some people that had done it for years were not that good. But I truly believe you can be educated. And if you want to do a great job, you can with the right knowledge and the right tools. So here I am.
So that's the perfect segue to my next question, which is what problem would you say you solve right now and for who specifically?
I believe it's a twofold issue.
Okay.
So company wise, they know they need recruiters. And sometimes they get in that stereotypical mindset of, I need recruiters when I need to ramp up and hire a lot. And then I need to let them go because we're doing layoffs and that sort of thing. And I don't believe that's the best way to utilize a recruiter. I think there's a strategic asset to it that you can have a phenomenal department of recruiters, maybe small, maybe large, but you have those key people that know your brand and almost in a sense act as an extension of marketing and sales, as well as bringing on those key players into your company. But I also realize that recruiters need training, and there's not decent, great training out there. And it's kind of sad, but I think once you get that right training to that right person, you might take that C or B player and make them an A player. And if you can figure out retention for a recruiter in your company, you're set for a good long time.
Oh, it's always that thing of this is something that any business owner, founder, head of HR will have done at some point in their life. So they believe they can do it by themselves because they've done it already and it just
Yeah.
makes sense to continue until you understand actually how much time you're spending on the recruitment, how many
Mhm.
mistakes you have to make in order to get the right candidate and the right actual person for the job.
Yeah.
And all this, it's the thing that I keep on saying as well is you're not buying into a service to not spend your time on it. You're buying on not making the hundreds and thousands of mistakes that will come with learning the skill yourself so that you can invest your time to get the results that you want. Is that kind of the same approach?
Well, it absolutely is. Here's the thing. A lot of us think being the jack of all trades makes us less throwaway.
Yeah.
The company will retain us longer if we know all the things and can do all the things. And the problem is at such a high level of what you have to do with HR and with recruiting, if you start mixing it, something gets left behind. Something kind of has to slide off the plate per se. So normally when people come to me, yes, they're doing recruiting well, but there's such a whole nother level that they can take to it. And it's honestly getting a fresh perspective of something that you may not have seen because you're in the woods and you can't see the whole picture for the trees. um, Going into it, the biggest thing, I don't want to step on people's toes, but recruiting is such an important role in a company. And typically it's not managed as high level as it should be. It's not considered as important as some other roles should be. It's one of those outliers. And I hate to use the phrase because anybody in recruiting will tell you we're typically the redheaded stepchildren of the company. So once you get that person, me going in as consulting, identifying the problems and making sure you have the key people in place to handle those problems, and also making a roadmap, like you should see results in 30 days, but you also should continue to see improvement results in 60, 90, and forward. Not just a quick fix. Okay, you're done. You're good to go. Again, the problem is HR generalists. When you're in there and you're dealing with a high amount of people, you're getting pulled in every direction, and that's great. The company really needs you, but what happens when you burn out and you need to take vacation and you have no backup? That's a big problem.
That's so. Who do you typically help with those problems, Amy? Like, do you have a specific industry? Do you have a specific industry size, company size? Like, who do you see yourself helping the most, and who ends up benefiting the most from your help and your services?
So I will say, and I just hit on the jack of all trades. So everybody can take a little bit
Right.
away. Okay. However, I've dealt a lot with hospitality and warehouse manufacturing. So ideally, the high volume, the ramp up increases, they're going to gain the most out of my services. But again, everybody can get a little piece. Right now, I'm vamping up myself and actually creating training specifically for recruiters at the entry, intermediate, and higher levels. But yeah, I would say the industries are going to be hospitality, warehouse manufacturing, as well as those key corporate roles in those industries that I can help.
So who makes the decision of saying, "Hey, yes, I want Amy to help us out here"? Because often what ends up happening in consulting is that the person that you're working on a day-to-day with or like helping is not the person who actually made the decision, and potentially not even the person who validated the budget. So who is it that you need to get the awareness that they might need an external recruitment consultant, and then who is it that you end up helping within the company itself?
So I would say those would be the key HR leaders or even the C-suite executives. They're going to see the operations and understand that we want it here, but it's over here. How do we connect the two? And maybe they're talking to leaders of those operations and they're implementing things. They know things are falling through the cracks. They just don't know how to get it together. So, human resources business partners, CHROs, again, C suite executives, they want that next level and they know they can get to it. They're not 100% sure how. Normally, I'll sit in and I'll do just a breakdown analysis. Hey, is it realistic? Some companies they want to ramp up within 3 to 5 months. They want to make 500 hires. Well, is it realistic? And we gotta narrow it down. Normally hands-on, I'm dealing with those people that did make the decision to understand the outcome. Again, 30, 60, 90 days is ideal. And we can talk retention of a year or more to make sure um, my services are beneficial. But after that initial interview, I'm dealing with the recruitment team. I want to know where the recruiters are at with their knowledge base, with their understanding of the tools. If there's a leader over the recruitment department, do they know how everything's implemented? Are they understanding not only running reports, but are they getting the most out of the reports? Do they understand the data? And sometimes we can say yes, but sometimes we don't understand what data we truly need to pull in order to get the results and see where we're at.
Like that. So there is a certain level of complexity, obviously, when you need to get multiple stakeholders buy-in in what you're helping people with. So in your case, Amy, what have you seen working the best in the sense of bringing in the right decision makers to the table, also getting your brand out there, some form of awareness, marketing wise? So what have you done to being heard and get heard by the right people and the different stakeholders so that people come to you and want to open that discussion?
I will say that I'm still entry level with that, talking with just about everybody, um, letting people know because this is what I'm doing is very new. You have people out there consulting for staffing agencies, you have the business partners that are wanting the business, solely dealing in with recruiting. They want you to hire them to recruit for you, uh, not internally, but an external. There are very few companies doing what I'm doing right now. And normally they're dealing with extremely higher level, much larger companies. I deal with mid-level companies. Normally you're looking to hire between 5 to 500 annually. It's very new. I'll be honest with you, in my market research month over month, because I'm always trying to stay ahead of the game, I don't see anybody. So right now I'm just proving to people, hey, you actually need this and this is worth investing in.
Interesting. So when you're on, that's going to be interesting for a lot of people listening to us actually. When you're in such a new, let's call it approach of the market, right? And kind of an innovation, not by disruption, but just by like incremental innovation, I would say. What's the right way to approach this from a sales perspective? The reason I'm asking this is when you're launching a new service, when you're doing something that very few people on the market doesn't, regardless of the industry where you're consulting, it's not just getting people from solution aware to close. It's actually making them problem aware, educating them on the cost of that problem, right? Which is not always obvious and not something that stands out from the get-go.
Right.
Then solution aware of like, okay, this is the problem, this is what it creates, and those are the solutions that you can look into. Then you get into the conversation of like, if all this makes sense, let me help you. So in your case, Amy, how do you move those eyeballs from eyeballs to actual conversations to actual deals and people that you can help by working with them?
The pain point, understanding how to articulate and let's be honest, it's advertise the pain point and understand what you're doing and who you're helping. Right now, it's a test and go for me. Getting it out there, letting people know, hey, this is what I do and the value of it. So normally with companies that are ramping up in this sort of way, they'll start out slow and then they'll start throwing money at the problem, in which I try to educate them. Had you came in with a game plan and understood the pain points earlier and strategized earlier, you would have saved thousands of dollars, if not $100 million. And I've seen companies I was part of a company during 21 hospitality where we were ramping up and they weren't getting the numbers because people were still, and rightfully so, worried. They weren't understanding of jumping back into the workforce. So the company just started, bonuses here, bonuses there, hiring staffing agencies. And there's a time and place to do that. But if a strategy was implemented before and understanding the pieces, even to the lowest, excuse me, not lowest, but even to the entry level, less knowledgeable recruiter, if everybody's on the same page, understanding expectations and results and being held accountable for those, and actionable items where the leaders are going in and saying, hey, this is what you're being measured on. These are your tools, and this is how you get to check where you're at. If people had a basic understanding overall going into it, it would save companies thousands and thousands of dollars. And to where my consulting, and this is kind of how I leverage it, I'm not that expensive. I have such a passion to train recruiters, and I truly believe knowledge is power. The more training they had, the better they're going to be for your company. But investing a couple of $1,000s into me, saving your company 50, 60, $100,000 in the long run, to me, it's kind of worth it. But articulating that and articulating it to the right people and continue to sharing, again, new in the space, people, they've heard of things like this, but they've not seen it implemented. So there's hesitation, of course, and I understand that.
It's interesting. Thanks a lot for sharing this. First of all, Amy, that's powerful. So the funny thing is that you haven't held, pardon my French, of a business case, right? Spend a few $1,000s, save hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, any person interested in making money or saving money, that should be a pretty straightforward answer. Now, I understand that this comes at the cost, and here I don't mean the cost in the sense of money, but the cost of the friction it creates. It's a new service. It's understanding it. It's seeing the impact it has and how you're going to be needed as well in the process to make it work, and therefore creating that whole awareness, but also about the actual product to make it work. So that does make a lot of sense. Now, another question that I think will be interesting in your case, Amy, is one big thing in consulting to grow a consulting firm is to retain customers. It's not just to do a one-off engagement, right? It's to be able to take this initial engagement and transform it into a multi-layered, multi-year project involving all the people from either the consulting firm or potential colleagues. In your case, how do you do this? How do you take an initial engagement and then say, okay, look, this is what we've done, guys. This is where you have other, opportunities in terms of cost savings or money making. And here is how much I charge, and you're going to be able to make the most out of this relationship that you've built thanks to an initial engagement. How do you farm in consulting?
So the initial step is the strategic recruiter audit. We got to take a snapshot to see where you're at. As much as people try to tell me, hey, we're doing this and we're doing great, but we want to kind of move the needle a little bit. When I go in and I'm looking at numbers, I'm talking to people, it paints a different picture. So we get very realistic. I can use corporate jargon. I'm not great at it. I have a military background. I love to be straightforward and make sure you understand the actual picture.
Yeah.
Processes aren't hugely broken, but they normally have gaps and cracks. So understanding that full picture, outlining a 30, 60, 90-day process, and doing follow-ups quarterly. Right now, the environment's changing so much with AI. Companies don't know how to implement it. Companies have AI products and services, and they don't know what they're doing with it. You'll have key recruiters that do know, and they're superstars, and they're rocking it. And they might even have a couple of their own AI tools off to the side because they know how to utilize it, implement it, and make sure that they are phenomenal at what they do. Getting everybody on the same page, it's going to take longer than 90 days. There are, small steps that make big impact. But I I won't hold companies hostage and saying, hey, you got to utilize my service for a whole year to make sure that you're going to stay on track for the long term. But I am going to offer, quarterly, hey, let's do a follow up, see where we're at to make sure those gaps don't come back up, those cracks don't come back up. What's changing the environment, AI wise and industry wise, that we need to make sure that our recruiters are knowledgeable and implementing. It's constant change. And if we stay up to date and continue to honestly pour into our people, there's things that they can do on their own, but there's things on company level as far as training is concerned that companies can be doing so much better at and helping their people step their game up. And that, of course, it's a twofold problem. Having me on, keep continuing to improve your systems and services in the recruiting section. It shows the recruiters that you're buying into them and you're pouring into them in such a way that it increases retention. And that's a lot of things I hear companies that are hurting on for recruiters. They have them there, they have these high expectations. They just kind of toss things at them and they kind of expect them to stay, for years when they're not getting value back from the company. So, when it comes up that these recruiters can get, a couple $1,000 more going out on their own, going to staffing agencies, taking that corporate level job when you really need them at your place, your company, it's worth it in the long run.
It's funny to hear about HR problems within HR departments. That's I'm not sure how the English expression goes, but I'm gonna do a literal translation of a French one, which hopefully you'll forgive me for. But it's like the shoemaker's son always goes barefoot. It's like the person that makes the shoes, they are the ones who pay the least attention to their shoes, which is,
It's
without
true.
any surprise. Yeah, right. It's something that HR departments also face as an issue. Amy, this was great. Thank you so much for coming on Consulting Leaders. If people want to find out more about you, see what you do, where should they go?
Primarily on LinkedIn. They can look for AHA Solutions Group or my website, ahasolutionsgroup.com. They're more than welcome to schedule something with me or email me. I'm available a lot more, close to 24/7.
We'll put all the links in the description. I know it's based on the name, your name, but the name of the company is very well found and I like it a lot. So look, we'll put all the link in the description, and what I can say for sure is that you've gained at least one connection from this interview. I just added you on LinkedIn. Amy, thank you so much for coming on Consulting Leaders.
I can't thank you enough for the opportunity.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Consulting Leaders Podcast. We hope you learned valuable lessons on how to grow your practice and take your business to the next level. Make sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you're listening to this show so you never miss an episode. To apply and be a guest on the show, click the link in the description. See you next time.